Transmissions jammed. Proximity coverage only.
Hey guys, Jacob here. A lot of you guys have been asking me what's the main raid build I use in the Operation Dark Hours level 40 version of the raid. As you guys know, in the new update they did give us a level 40 raid, which is pretty much the exact same one, and also they gave us the level 40 Eagle Bear. One thing I will note, this build will team on what your team is using essentially, and also what kind of builds they have, and also what weapon you're using, and also what stage of the raid you are on. I'm going to get right into it and talk about it. The specialization I'm using is going to be the Sharpshooter and the Survivalist. The reason why I'm using Sharpshooter is mostly for the enemies at the beginning, like Boomer, Dizzy, Weasel, all those guys, Buddy and Lucy, to see a little bit more weapon stability and also have a little bit more headshot damage. But you can also change this to something like Survivalist if you're going to be using this on Razorback, is what essentially I do, because I have two versions of this loadout saved. That way I can just switch from one to the other, and I don't have to go back and forth to the base of operations. Now, the guns I'm using on this is going to be the Eagle Bear. You don't have to use the Eagle Bear. You actually can use something like an AK if you want to, or even the P416 Glory Days, which I know is what most of you guys are using, due to the fact that you got it from the Battle Pass. You could also use something like the Police Sim 4, or even the Visible Hand AUG. These all work really well, but I'd highly recommend using the Glory Days if you guys have trouble hitting your shots, due to the fact you get 100% stability, so you can hit a lot of your shots with this weapon. Now, the Eagle Bear is the exotic weapon that drops from the raid. It may take you guys a few times to get it. It took me, I think, at least 15 box openings or 15 runs to get it. But you guys can see the attachments on this weapon are crit chance on the Eagle Eye sight, 15% crit damage on the Jagged Beak, 10% stability on the Talon Grip, and 60 rounds in the magazine total, because you get plus 30 from the bullet IRE, and that's the magazine on the exotic. You can see the rolls are assault rifle damage, health damage, and headshot damage. So no crit, just headshot, and this is the talent if you guys want to read it. But I've covered this a decent amount of times, so if you guys are curious, you can just read it yourself. But I've gone over this many times in other videos. Now, the secondary I'm using is the Baker's Dozen. I have max stat rolls on this, 484k damage with perfect lucky shot. Magazine capacity is increased by 30%. Missed shots from cover have a 100% chance to return to the magazine. The attachment I'm using on this is the C79 scope for crit chance, and the laser pointer for crit chance, and also the tightly packed marksman mag for plus 5 rounds in the gun. So you're getting a decent amount of ammunition in this, and you can constantly hit your NPCs. Also hit players when you use this in the dark zone. Now, the sidearm I'm using, it doesn't really matter what sidearm I'm using. I tend to just throw one on whatever works, so you guys can just throw on whatever you're comfortable with. Now, for some of the brand set pieces, I'm using 3-piece Providence. The reason why I'm using 3-piece Providence is the fact you get headshot damage, crit chance, and crit hit damage, weapon damage, crit hit damage, crit chance, and crit hit damage from all these pieces alone. So you get a decent amount of crit just from the brand set in general, and also you're getting crit from just this one piece. You can see right there, that's a lot of crit just from the mask alone. On the backpack, I'm using crit chance, crit damage again on a mod with companion, and weapon damage as the core attribute roll. And companion is really nice. While you're within 5 meters of an ally or skill, total weapon damage is increased by 15%. You guys can always use something like companion or perfect vigilance if you want to have a little bit more damage, but I like companion due to the fact I'm usually running around with my teammates. The one that's a little bit difficult on is Buddy and Lucy, because you guys are going to want to spread out a little bit and hit them from different directions. At least that's what we do, and that way she kind of stays in the middle. But if you're one of your other teammates, like if you're on Buddy and you guys are all just hitting at the same time, you can do some serious damage if you're using this, but you can always change this up to something else you're liking if you have a different talent in mind. Now, the gloves are Sombra, which give you 15% crit hit damage, 13.7 weapon damage, 6% crit chance, and 11.4 crit damage. If you're making a crit build, I highly recommend using Sombra because they give you 15% crit damage alone. That way you can roll crit hit damage and crit chance on the gloves and get a decent amount of crit just from one piece alone. Now, the Kneepads are Providence. I have crit damage, crit chance, and weapon damage rolled on these as well. And for the holster, I'm using Seska, which gives you 10% crit chance, 11.5 weapon damage, 10.4 crit damage, and 6% crit chance. So alone, like on this piece, I'm getting 16% crit hit chance, just from the fact the 10% is the attribute on the brand set. Now, the chest piece, which is the main piece I actually started making this build off of, there's a few other options you can use. I have 10% assault rifle damage, 15% weapon damage, 12% crit damage, 17,000 health with 11.6 crit damage, and obliterate. Crits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 5 seconds, stack up to 15 times. A few other combos you can use on this is perfect glass cannon or glass cannon in general. This is perfect Glass Cannon is really fun to use, but I haven't really messed with it that much. I'm still getting used to it because it's kind of like Reckless from the first game. If you guys are not, aware, the first game there was a talent called Reckless that was very similar to this, but it was not as crazy as this was. This is way more like on drugs and insane. Another talent you can use, which I highly recommend, is Perfect Overwatch. If your team is in cover a lot, you can actually use this. That way you get increased skill damage and weapon damage to buff your team up a little bit more. And that's really going to about it for the chest piece and some of the rolls. Overall, like I said, you guys can change this to your liking. For the skills, I'm using the Reviver Hive to the fact in the raid, if some bullshit happens, like you're on the generator like I am, and you randomly get hit by a grenade going across the map, and it murks you, then you're going to need something like this. That way you can res yourself, but if you're confident enough and your team can take this the MPs out pretty quickly, then you can always change the Reviver Hive to something like a Fixer Drone if you really want to. The next skill is going to be pretty much whatever you want. I recommend using something like a shield at the beginning, or using something even like the decoy to distract some of the NPCs. Also on Razor, I highly recommend using the EMP Pulse Jammer. This is really nice for stuff like the drones that are running at you like crazy and flying around, and they tend to take you out really quickly. I'd also highly recommend having someone run a drone style build on one of the generators. That way they can just wipe them out as soon as they spawn, because that's what me and a few of my friends have been doing lately, and it's very effective. Now I'll get into the stat sheet and show you guys some of the stats on this gear, like the crit chance, crit damage, and weapon damage. These are the weapon talents, as you guys know. 57.8 crit chance, 180 crit hit damage, 74.4. That's from the Eagle Bear in the Providence defense, which still doesn't add up to me. I don't know why it's 74%. It's always been like that since, I think, like last update and the update before, but who really knows at this point. 9% health damage, reload time, reload speed, accuracy, and stability. You're getting stability from the Talon Grip, Breath Control, and Keener's Watch, so you're going to be hitting your shots a little bit more. And I'll go down to the all weapon damage bonus, 76.2, 37% assault rifle damage bonus, and 15% rifle damage bonus. Submachine gun is 15% as well. And I'll get into the defensive so you can see this. And the armor is very low, so you will have to use cover a little bit, that way you don't get melted. 297,000 health, which is very low as well. You see bleed resistance from hazard, which is really nice if you get hit by bleed, but there's only really one section of hazard in the raid that you got to worry about, and that's on the Weasel boss. And here's some of the skills you guys can see here. And the Reviver Hive is only pretty much for emergencies, only if something happens and you get taken out, because it does take forever to come back. And for the EMP Jammer, it only takes like 30 seconds, which I don't have equipped right now. This is just the Ballistic Shield, but the EMP Jammer comes back really fast. But if you have someone using EMP Jammer in your group, essentially you're going to use this as a backup. If there's, say they get EMP'd by a robot dog and they can't hit it, then you're going to hit yours. That way you take them out. That way they have theirs, have a chance to get theirs back. And you can see the cooldown is only 28.6. That's because I have like a skill haste mod or something on here that's like 4%, so it's a little bit lower than normal. But overall, that's about it, guys. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more Division 2 content, and I will catch you guys all later.